Welcome to the High Level Wife Podcast. This is a space for Christian wives who love God, want their marriage healed, and are done performing, fixing, striving, or trying to control their way to change. Here we're going to talk about marriage God's way through right order, surrender, heart posture, and spirit-led transformation. This is not self-help, it's discipleship. My name is Chelsey Holm, and my role is to help you move from awareness into obedience so real healing, wholeness, and restoration can take root. Let's begin. You can be doing all the right things and still have a heart that's completely out of alignment with God. And that was exactly where I found myself in my marriage for a long time. Welcome back to the High Level Wife Podcast. I'm Chelsey Holm, and we're continuing our mini-series, the Heart Posture Series, What God Actually Sees. In the last few episodes, we've talked about how God consistently looks past outward behavior and examines the heart of the posture of the heart. Okay? Heart posture, posture of the heart. We looked at the Pharisees and the tax collector. We looked at the rich young ruler. We looked at King Saul and King David, Judas and Peter, and all these examples show us something really powerful, that two people can do similar things, but God responds to the heart behind them. Today, I want to share a personal example because this is where I see so many wives get stuck. Okay. There was a long stretch in my marriage where I believed I was doing everything right. I was trying to be patient. I was trying to say the right things. I was trying to show respect. I was trying to always show up in the way that I thought a good Christian wife should do. From the outside, it probably looked like I was trying really hard to do marriage God's way. But the problem is, underneath that behavior, my heart posture was completely wrong. So underneath that behavior, and this was the real heart posture that I was taking, I was frustrated. I was trying to control the outcome. I was trying to manage my husband's growth. I was trying to fix the situation, but I wasn't surrendered to God, and I wasn't trying to allow God to manage the process. I was trying to manage the process myself. And that heart posture created a constant tension inside of me, which created tension in the atmosphere in our environment. And, what that did was, even when I said the right things, my heart was full of resentment or fear, exhaustion, and so much self-righteousness. Oh my gosh, so much. But the truth was that my husband could feel that because, again, the heart posture leaks. It leaks through your tone, your reactions, your facial expressions, right? Like your face is talking, your patience level, and you might be saying the right words, but your heart posture is communicating something completely different. There came a moment where the Lord really convicted me in this. I remember exactly where I was standing in that moment because I realized something extremely uncomfortable. I wasn't actually surrendering to God. I was trying to control my marriage while using spiritual language. I was doing things that looked like obedience, but internally I was still trying to be the one in charge. And I was damaging my husband's faith. I was beating him up left and right. I was speaking over him that you're not enough and you'll never be enough. Or be like these guys. Or, you have this time, do this. But I could only see the outside, right? And that's when God started showing me something deeper. He wasn't just interested in changing my behavior or changing my husband's behavior. He wanted to change my heart posture first. And that shift began when I stopped asking, how do I fix this? And started asking God, what are you refining in me? Instead of trying to control the situation, I began surrendering it. Instead of constantly analyzing my husband, looking again at the external that I could see and not the heart that I couldn't see, I started allowing God to examine my own heart. Instead of trying to force outcomes, I started trusting God with the process, believing the best. Also, understanding my husband has the Holy Spirit just as I have the Holy Spirit. And when the heart posture shifted, everything else started shifting too. Psalm 139:23 and 24 says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. That prayer requires humility because it invites God to expose what we would often rather avoid. And that is where transformation begins. Because the real breakthrough in our marriage rarely starts with fixing your spouse. It never starts with fixing your spouse, okay? It just doesn't. It starts with God when He begins refining your heart. And when your heart posture changes, your responses change, your peace changes, your trust changes. And often your entire marriage dynamic begins to change, not because you controlled the outcome, but because you surrender the process to God. God has perfect timing. God orchestrates everything in accordance with his grander plan and scheme of drawing humanity closer to himself. So here's the question for you today. Are you trying to manage your marriage or surrender it? Are you trying to control your husband's growth, or are you allowing God to refine your own heart first and trusting that God will refine his in his timing and his way? Because the moment we humble ourselves before God, he begins to do the work in us that we can never manufacture ourselves. So the truth is, many of us start with behavior, right? When we reprimand our children, what do we focus on always? We focus on behavior. But that's actually a wrong approach to parenting. Our approach should be to focus on the heart behind the behavior that's occurring. God always brings us deeper because he isn't looking for perfect performance. And I hope we aren't looking for perfection in our husbands. And I hope that we aren't looking for perfection in our kids because we understand that God is looking for hearts that are fully surrendered to him. And when your heart posture changes, everything else in your life begins to follow. If this episode stirred something in you, but high level wife feels like too big of a step right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to jump ahead to honor what God is doing. I created a short guided experience called From Awareness to Surrender for women who aren't ready for ongoing support but know they can't stay where they are. It includes 3 short teachings, a guided exercise, and a prayer I recorded over you. It's going to help you move from awareness into real response. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're not ready even for that, don't rush past this moment. Sit with God and ask him what obedience looks like next.